Hi, everyone. Welcome to our first informational meeting on the Accelerated Pathway to USD Law Program. We are so excited to be here. This is a partnership that has been years in the making with myself, Dean Chavez, Dean Patton with social sciences, all the way up to the chancellor, and of course with USD, Dean Shapiro. So we're so excited to offer this info session and to give you kind of an overview of the program and what we hope to accomplish with this partnership. So let's begin with introductions. Dean Chavez, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Absolutely. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Mike Chavez. I am the Assistant Dean of Admissions and Financial Aid at the University of San Diego School of Law. I've been at USD since 2018. Prior to that, I was working at a law school in Los Angeles in law admissions. And then my professional legal background is in intellectual property law and e-discovery. And I actually attended Santa Clara for undergrad and law school, so they have all my money.
Thank you so much. And I am Professor Maysa Nichter. I'm in the political science department. Many of you may have taken some of my courses. I teach Introduction to Business Law, Introduction to Legal Reasoning, Introduction to Intellectual Property, and hopefully I'll be rolling out Introduction to Contract Law in the spring. I'm also director of the Houston Law and Politics Initiative. And what we do is we put on programs throughout the year to support and inspire our students who are interested in going into law and politics. So some of you may have also attended our events. And this program is separate from the Law and Politics Initiative, but certainly it's through the engagement with USD School of Law in those programs that has inspired this partnership. And now Ms. Kemi Ott will also introduce herself.
Hello, I'm Kemi Ott. I'm the pre-law advisor and the program coordinator for the Accelerated Pathway to USD Law. I'm super excited to get to know each one of you. I've been with UC San Diego off and on since 2016. My last role, I worked for the School of Global Policy and Strategy as Associate Director of Employer Relations and also a career coach, helping with students who had a variety of interests from consulting to public policy positions and international affairs. I'm looking forward to connecting with you all and helping you with your law school journey.
Thank you so much, Kemi. And we will mention this again, but Kemi is going to be your primary point of contact for advising for this partnership program, this Accelerated Pathway program, as well as any programs that we put on connected to this Accelerated Pathway. All right, so we want to take just a couple minutes to go over our inspiration and our intent behind this program. So I will share, and Dean Chavez will also share. So my inspiration absolutely is my experience as an undergrad. As many of you also I was a first generation law student. I did not know any attorneys. However, I was at UCLA and there was a law school on campus, and I gained so much support and inspiration by walking over to the UCLA Law campus, meeting law students, just chatting with administrators at the time. I even remember one time I kind of snuck into a lecture hall and there was a female professor, and it was very clear that I wasn't a law student. I looked young, I was young, and I just kind of sat in the second row, and she kind of gave me a wink and she allowed me to sit in on her lecture. I only went once to that lecture, but just that hour was so inspirational. It was kind of one of those first moments where I sat down and thought, I can do this, I can excel. I kind of understood what they were talking about, and I knew that it was exciting to be in that lecture. And in speaking with the hundreds of students in my pre-law classes, I see that they also want that support and that inspiration and that partnership with a law school. And so we have partnered with the best law school in the region, USD School of Law. So my inspiration is to kind of bridge that gap that we have at UCSD by not having a law school on campus. So USD Law, in essence, is our brother or sister law school.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I mirror a lot of those sentiments. I'm the first person in my family to go to college, grew up in a single parent household, grew up, I've shared this in the story, we've spoken to USD students in the past, but I grew up in an area of San Jose called Sal si puedes, which translates into get out if you can. So really difficult circumstances. I turned to the law as a way to have agency over my life and to contribute to my community. And I knew that, or sensed that law school would enable me to do that. But there's also a lot of questions, right, that arise with the path to law school, the application process, a lot of angst, a lot of uncertainty. I fully understand what it means to be a prospective law student who's, trying to figure out, how do I thrive in a legal and a law school academic setting? Am I ready for this? How do I become ready? And I think this program is special because we're giving you all that support and all those resources and all that guidance, right? It's integrated from this, from the beginning of the point at the juncture where you become part of the Accelerated Pathways participant, all the way through your time before you start law school at USD. So, I think that another key feature about this that excites me is the fact that we're retaining students who are passionate about San Diego, about this region, about our communities, that talent, that perspective, individuals who want to give back and serve, right? Who feel that they've been shaped in very meaningful ways in their time here. For you as undergraduates at UCSD, and can continue to envision yourselves giving back to San Diego, or even if you decide to once you graduate from USD School of Law, move to different parts of the country and bring some of those perspectives and those values to the places the spaces, right, where you find yourself personally, professionally, and even academically. And then lastly, echoing, those sentiments about this partnership, I think that, I'm excited about working collaboratively with UCSD's faculty, their advisors, with student leaders, with participants in this program. We're aligning our respective strengths, right? UCSD is a world-class undergraduate institution. USD is not only the law school in San Diego, but also I think we feel San Diego's law school. So we want more students from UCSD to be part of that, but also we want to prepare you and equip you to thrive wherever you land, when you land in law school.
Thank you, Mike. All right, so let's get into the steps, what this program is about, and how we are envisioning that our students will transition from one phase to the next and ultimately matriculate to USD School of Law. Okay, so the first step is what we are calling step 1, early identification. And our students within the political science department, and I will mention later that this program is open to all students, but I'll share with you how it's going to take place within the political science department, just for the sake of simplicity. So there will be early identification and invitation to apply to become what we are calling pathway participants. So the first step is to become a pathway participant. And in order to become a pathway participant, you need to satisfy the following 3 requirements. Number 1, you need to have a 3.7 overall GPA. Number 2, we need to show that we have successful completion of at least 3 public law courses. And those are courses that are categorized under Poly 104A through 104Z. Now, within the poli-sci major, we have a public law emphasis or major. So certainly if you're a public law major within poli-sci, you would satisfy those requirements. But if you're a general poli-sci student, you can also take part in this program by completing at least 3 public law courses. And also if you're outside of the major, if you are a math major or in the humanities, you could also qualify to be a pathway participant, so long as you have that 3.7 overall GPA, as well as completion of at least 3 public law courses. And the third step is what is going to make it an accelerated path. This third step is you have to show by the end of your winter quarter of your second year. Okay, so the idea behind this program is that you will graduate within 3 years. So by the end of the winter quarter of your second year, if you come in as a first-year student, or at the end of the winter quarter of your first year, if you're coming in as a transfer student, you have to show that you will be graduating by the following spring. So you will have about another 1.5 years left in your undergraduate degree. So those are the 3 steps to be identified early. And within the political science department, Kemi, as well as our team, is going to help identify those students. And we will send out notices to those students who seem to be on track and are on their way to fulfilling these 3 requirements by the end of the winter quarter to see if they would like to become a pathway participant. Some students may choose not to become a pathway participant because perhaps they have no interest in going to law school, or perhaps they are not aspiring to go to USD School of Law. They'd like to go to the East Coast. So it's an early identification and then an invitation to apply. So that is the first step to become a pathway participant. Once you become a pathway participant, I'm going to pass this over to Dean Chavez to go into detail, but once you become a pathway participant, you then may move on to step 2, which is fulfillment of the presumptive admission standards.
Absolutely. So this slide outlines the academic features of an application that will receive presumptive admission. There's an LSAT minimum and a GPA minimum set every fall. So entering the start of the application cycle, if those minimums are met, you will receive presumptive admission consideration. And what that translates into is that you will receive prioritized you will be considered as a prioritized admissible applicant. You'll receive early review ahead of the regular application pool. That's noteworthy because especially at USD, what we're seeing now at USD, we continue to attract hyper competitive applicants. Our application volume has continuously increased over the last 4 years. Last year, we were up 30% in applications. This year, we're already up 47% in applications compared to last year. So for students who are part of this program, they're already receiving this presumptive consideration for admission. They're ahead of the bulk of the applicant pool, and so they're positioned well then to be competitive for admission, but also just kind of get out of the way, right? Knowing where they're going as a law student, and then starting to integrate their place in the community earlier in their academic career in their last year at UCSD. The final feature about this. It's a privilege, right, to be part of this program. It doesn't guarantee admission. There's still a holistic evaluation of a file. There may be specific features that do warrant, that may not warrant admission of an offer, character and fitness questions, maturity or emotional readiness concerns, or maybe substantive negative academic trends. And so that's where, we're reviewing the file, but nonetheless, it's receiving presumptive admission because of meeting these minimum standards. The other unique characteristic about the program is UCS students will receive guidance and support, right, needed to maintain your academic trajectory of achievement at UCSD in the classroom and also maximize your potential on the LSAT when you take that exam. October 1st is when the application is due. So we're receiving those applications, and then we will start to review decisions. We render decisions on a rolling basis. And so pathway participants will start receiving notifications early, and then we can take, we're able to take up to 25, or starting 25. We can actually take more, but we're guaranteeing 25 qualifying pathway participants will be admitted into the program.
Thank you so much for that, Mike. And just a couple of things that I want to add, just to increase that clarity, is once you're a pathway participant, and again, you're identified a pathway participant end of winter quarter of your second year, you'll be expected to take your LSAT that summer, the coming summer. So you'll need to choose an LSAT program, and we will run programs to help you make those selections and to help increase your studying habits so that you gain that or earn that requisite score. Currently, it's set at 164, and that may change over time. And USD will let us know what that score is, so you can aim for that score. So that's kind of one of the key components, is you want to gain that requisite score on the LSAT, and then then you would apply and you would be considered quite early in the process. Oops, excuse me. And then finally, once you have that presumptive admission standard, the presumptive admission standards met, we get to step 3, which is formal admission to USD and the offer and acceptance period. Like, if you could share a bit more detail.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will finalize all decisions for the first 25 pathways participants by December 22nd. So everybody in that group who is a presumptive admissible student will receive those communications, and they will receive their scholarship letters no later than December 22nd. So for qualifying students, prospective admits or admitted students can secure their seat in the class by submitting their full deposit by January 15th. There's no mandatory obligation, right, to commit to the program. There could be any number of circumstances why someone decides not to commit to the program. And so this is just a deposit holds your seat and retains your place in the class for the upcoming fall. And of course, there's a celebration, right, to recognize you and your achievement as being a pathways accelerated admitted student and on your way to USD Law. And throughout the entirety of your spring, or your fall and spring career as a UCSD student, your last year, you're still receiving support services, guidance, programming, acculturation experiences, right? Mentorship, all these different aspects of preparing you for law school through collaborative events put on by UCSD and USD Law.
Thank you. Yes. So we will have pathway participant programs throughout the year. And then we will also have exclusive programs for the class of students who are going to be matriculating to USD School of Law. And that, as Mike Chavez shared, that is going to be almost the entirety of your third and final year at UCSD. And these programs are going to focus more on skills building and familiarity with the law school curriculum, so that once you do start at USD Law, you're going straight in, which should be your fourth year as an undergrad, you're starting law school. We want to make sure that you're going to be thriving in that first year of law school. I want to just spend a few moments to speak about some of our frequently asked questions. In order to join this program, you all signed up for an interest list. On the interest list, if you have any friends who haven't signed in yet, please have them join that interest list, because that is the way that we'll communicate about a lot of our programs. But these are some of the frequently asked questions on that interest list. We've answered some of them along the way, but again, yes, this program is open to all majors. We will, in the political science department, identify that early identification process. If you are listening in and you are interested, but you're not a political science major, the way that you will be identified will be slightly different. You will need to initiate with your home department and let them know that you would like to take part in this accelerated pathway program. And they will then identify you to us. So we're still working out how this will happen, but ultimately, Ms. Kemi Ott will be notified of your interest in taking part in this program, and the home department will make sure that you are meeting the requirements to be a pathway participant. And then from that point on, you will be treated like any other major. The pathway participant program is one way to get into USD School of Law. If you are not one of the selected individuals under the Pathway Participant Program, it is still early in the application process. Most students will know whether or not they are being admitted through this program by November or December. So you can still submit your application to USD Law through the traditional route and be considered. And certainly you can mention that you went through all the programming and things as a pathway participant, but you didn't get in through the accelerated pathway program. What else? You can change your mind if for some reason you decide to go to another law school. You're not bound to the agreement. You can move on to another law school if you'd like. And this is the timeline, and Dean Chavez actually created a beautiful visual that I want him to go through in detail, but we did have some questions about, I graduated a couple years ago, or I'm graduating this year. Can I take BART? Unfortunately, our program is going to be starting next year. So this year is kind of our launch year. We're getting the word out. We're putting on some program for students who are interested in being part of the program. We will early identify, that early identification process, step one of this program will begin next year. So winter quarter 2026. So if you're someone who is set to graduate spring of 2028, you would be the first class going in to USD School of Law.
Yeah, and Maysa, if you don't mind, I mean, we do have students, as you mentioned, from at different levels, right? Students who graduated, students who are current 4 years, students at UCSD. This is, while the Accelerate Pathways program is intended to be a tailored and concentrated support program for those identified students, the reality is that we're here to support all UCSD students. So you have access to us through our normally scheduled events and services, whether my virtual office hours that I host twice a month, or my colleague who's also hosting virtual office hours, the open house events we have here on campus, the different sessions where we're recruiting, across the country and of course on campus at UCSD, we're here for you. And this program specifically is for the students that know they want to be at USD. How do we, broaden their foundation, prepare them for achievement in the classroom and also as being a member of the community as offered through, the specific services, right, that this integrates, right, for participants. But that does not mean that if you're not part of this program, that you don't have us available to you as a resource. You do. It'll just look like kind of the more standard, like how we do robustly to students who are interested in law school, interested in USD. So don't feel like if you don't meet these parameters, you're like, well, this, how do I stand out as an applicant? We're here. So you're never bothering us. We have this program emerge out of our relationship and partnership with UCSD and how UCSD students do really well at USD and how we're trying to, enlarge in this pipeline, right? And address specific concerns that arise for students who are on their path to law school and what Maysa mentioned, like her conversations with students and the questions that they have and how we can develop something that targets that in a very precise way. But we also offer different conduits for communication with prospective students, no matter where they're at in the journey. So I just want to kind of share that distinct call out.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, so we're going to move on to this lovely visual that Dean Chavez created.
Absolutely. So I was trying to figure out how do I, incorporate all the different pieces, right? The information you need to know that was part of this deck, but gives you like a roadmap, right? Well, what does this all look like? Timeline wise. So if you're starting your path to law school via the accelerated pathway to USD Law Program, you're invited to apply, right? When you're identified early in your end of your winter quarter, second year. So if you're a transfer student, that means you completed one full year at a community college, and now it's your first year at UCSD and the end of your winter quarter. If you are a traditional UCSD student, where now this is your second year at UCSD and you're finishing your winter quarter, meeting the minimum qualifications, right, to be identified and invited to participate in the program, the 3.7 overall GPA, the 3 minimum public law classes, and on track to graduate in 3 years. And admittedly, there's a lot that we're digesting here, right? So bear with me. Then you're part of the UCSD-led pathway programming, co-sponsored and co-hosted events with USD Law, going into your spring quarter, then a comprehensive LSAT prep, right? We want you to understand, what does the LSAT entail? What things should I be thinking about planning early in my spring, headed into the summer? And so we're giving you all the guidance and information you need to be ready to sit down and take that test, evaluate the different prep tools that are out there, understanding which one fits your learning style, right? And being able to commit to this program over the summer and then gearing up for the LSAT exam at the end of the summer. So now you're about to enter your third year at UCSD. And so that's summer prior, you're studying for the LSAT, and then you're taking the LSAT at the end of the summer. LSAC offers the LSAT at various points throughout the year. They offer it generally two times over the summer. And so you're getting ready for the test that you have ample preparation for, right? So whether that's the August exam or maybe a September exam, and remember, keeping in mind that the application deadline for accelerated pathways participants is October 1st, and this would be in your third year, the fall third year of your undergraduate career at UCSD. And following, you meet the presumptive admissions parameters. We are admitting 25 students, a minimum of 25 students, qualified students under the accelerated pathway program. And so now we're headed at now you continue your programming, right? The support systems, throughout your fall quarter, and then you will receive your notices of admission on a rolling basis. We're prioritizing review for pathway students, even though we're receiving. I already have 1,000 applications, and this is only 3 months into the cycle. So our application cycle closes July 31st, and so as a pathway students, you're receiving this priority review. Presumptive consideration, and students will be notified of their admission and qualify and scholarships if eligible by December 22nd. We make that commitment to all pathways participants. USD Law commitment. So by January 15th, so you commit to the program by putting down your full seat deposit, and that's going to be the winter of your third quarter, January 15th again. And you're not obligated, right? If there's some reason where a different direction makes sense to you, then you can forego your deposit, and then that enables us to presumptively extend an offer to another qualifying pathway student. And then I have to turn my head because I'm reading it to the side now. Programming, throughout your spring quarter, the celebration in your spring quarter, again, recognizing your achievement and your accomplishments as a UCSD student and the student headed to USD Law, graduation in June, and then orientation in mid-August. So, but you have the summer, right? How do you use that summer in a productive and purposeful way, intentional way, setting you up for success? Well, that's where we step in, and we have numerous events and academic support focused services and programming. We have a Padres game, right? We want students to build community over the summer. A mentorship collective, which is an online platform that connects you with incoming students, right? Every student who is part of the incoming community is connected with an upperclassman, and we're using this information that we have about you, right? That you're a UCSD student, ideally pairing you with another USD graduate who's at USD Law already. Summer seminar, which is academic skills building, half-day program, JD Immersion, which is a week-long program intended to acculturate you and prepare you for law school. This is a week before orientation. And so UCSD students will have priority registration for that, including first-gen students and first-to-law students. And so, this is just a list of a multitude of things that we're doing. We do more over the summer for you. And then you start law school, orientation, and then you start law school, whether it be the 3-year full-time program or 4-year part-time program.
Thank you. And so what a privilege it is that we get to go to the head of the line when there are thousands of applications going in. So thank you for that, Dean Chavez. Hopefully this visual gives you a little more clarity about how this works. These slides will be available on our website so that you can refer to them. And certainly once, if and when you're admitted as an early identified student, a pathway participant, this is something that you will have even greater understanding about. Okay, in addition to this presentation, and this presentation is also being recorded, we also, as you met, we have Ms. Kemi Ott, who is our program coordinator and your primary contact. So Kemi, can you speak a little bit about the support that you're offering?
Yes, definitely. So if you all have any questions in regards to the program, you can feel free to contact me via the VAC and just look for the Accelerated Pathway to USD Law. I will also host in-person hours as well as virtual hours. And yeah, looking forward to answering any of your questions.
Thank you. I want to open it up now to student questions, and Kemi will close the recording now, and we do that so just to maintain kind of your comfort